Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to Golden Echoes Hub. It's Charlotte here, and I'm so happy to be with you for another story today. I'm 80 now, sitting in my little seaside apartment in St. Augustine, Florida, where the ocean breeze carries the scent of salt, and the sunsets paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. But today, I want to take you back to a time when I was 71. A time when I decided to do something I'd never done before. Travel on my own. This story is called My First Solo Trip at 71, a senior's adventure. And it's about stepping out of my comfort zone, discovering the world, and finding a new kind of courage in my golden years. So settle in with a warm cup of tea, maybe a cozy blanket, and let's travel back to the summer of 2006, when I packed a suitcase and set off on a journey that changed me forever. It was the summer of 2006, and I was 71 years old, still living in my house in Asheville, North Carolina. By then, I'd found some peace after losing my husband, Tom, back in '92. My garden had become my sanctuary, and my neighbor Evelyn, who I told you about in my last story, had taught me how to fight loneliness by connecting with friends and neighbors. I was doing better, but there was still a part of me that felt stuck. I'd spent so much of my life taking care of others. Tom, my children, Emily and Daniel, and then my grandkids, Lily and Ethan. I loved being there for them, but I'd never really done anything just for myself. I'd never traveled alone, never gone on an adventure that was mine, and mine alone. One evening, I was sitting on my porch, knitting a scarf for Lily, when I started thinking about all the places I'd always wanted to see. Tom and I had dreamed of traveling together. Italy, Paris, even just a road trip to the Grand Canyon. But after he passed, I'd put those dreams on a shelf, thinking they were out of reach. But that night, something shifted. I looked at the scarf in my hands, the roses blooming in the garden, the stars twinkling above, and I thought, why not now? Why can't I go somewhere, just for me? I was 71, yes, but I was healthy. I had a little savings, and I had a longing in my heart to see the world. The next morning I called Emily to tell her my idea. "Mama, are you sure?" she asked, her voice a mix of worry and excitement. "You've never traveled alone before?" I laughed and said, "I know, but I think it's time I did." After some research and a lot of encouragement from Evelyn, I decided on a destination: Savannah, Georgia. It wasn't too far, just a 4-hour drive from Asheville, but it felt like a big step. Savannah had always been on my list, with its historic charm, cobblestone streets, and Spanish moss hanging from the oaks. I booked a spot on a guided bus tour for seniors, packed a small suitcase, and before I knew it, I was on my way. The morning of the trip, I woke up with butterflies in my stomach. I stood in front of my mirror, smoothing out my favorite blue dress, the one Tom always said brought out my eyes. I packed a few essentials: my knitting needles, a journal, a photo of Tom to keep me company, and headed to the bus station in Asheville. The tour group was small, about a dozen other seniors, mostly women around my age, all chatting excitedly as we boarded the bus. I found a seat by the window, clutching my bag, and as the bus pulled away, I felt a mix of excitement and fear. What if I got lost? What if I didn't make any friends? What if I wasn't brave enough for this? The drive to Savannah was beautiful, with the Blue Ridge Mountains giving way to rolling hills and then the flat, marshy lowlands of Georgia. I watched the scenery pass by, my hands fidgeting with my knitting, and I whispered to Tom in my mind, "I'm doing this for us, love. I hope you're proud of me." When we arrived in Savannah that afternoon, the city took my breath away. The streets were lined with historic homes, their balconies dripping with flowers, and the air smelled of magnolias and the nearby river. Our tour guide, a kind woman named Margaret, led us to our hotel, a charming little inn with a courtyard full of blooming hydrangeas. I checked into my room, a cozy space with a 4-poster bed and a window overlooking the street. And I sat on the edge of the bed, feeling a little overwhelmed. I was really here, on my own, in a new city. It felt both thrilling and terrifying. The next morning our tour began, and I quickly realized I'd made the right choice. Margaret took us to Forsyth Park, where the fountains sparkled in the sunlight and the Spanish moss swayed in the breeze. I walked slowly, taking it all in, the laughter of children playing, the couples strolling hand in hand, the scent of fresh flowers in the air. I pulled out my journal and wrote down everything I saw, wanting to remember every detail. At one point, I sat on a bench under an oak tree, watching a street musician play a soft tune on his guitar. And I felt this deep, quiet peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about what I'd lost. I was fully in the moment, soaking in the beauty around me. That afternoon, we visited the historic district, walking along cobblestone streets past grand old mansions. Margaret told us stories about Savannah's history, tales of pirates, Civil War heroes, and the city's famous ghosts. I laughed with the other women in the group, sharing stories of our own as we went. There was a woman named Ruth, a 74-year-old from Tennessee, who became my fast friend. She had a sharp wit and a love for history, and we bonded over our shared love of knitting. "I can't believe you've never traveled alone before," she said, as we sat at a cafe, sipping sweet tea. "You're a natural." I smiled, feeling a little spark of pride. Maybe I was braver than I thought. One of the highlights of the trip was a riverboat cruise on the Savannah River. It was a warm evening, the sky streaked with orange and pink, and I stood at the railing of the boat, watching the city lights reflect on the water. The band on board played old jazz tunes, and I found myself tapping my foot, remembering how Tom and I used to dance in our living room. A man from our group, a kind 70-year-old named Henry, asked me to dance. I hesitated. I hadn't danced since Tom, but then I thought, why not? We twirled around the deck, laughing as we stumbled over each other's feet. And for a moment, I felt young again, full of life and possibility. Over the next few days, I explored more of Savannah. Its markets, its churches, its hidden gardens. I bought a little painting of the Forsyth Park fountain to hang in my home, a reminder of this adventure. I ate peach cobbler at a diner, the best I'd ever had. And I wrote letters to Emily and Daniel, telling them about everything I'd seen. I even called Evelyn from a payphone one evening. my voice bubbling with excitement as I told her about the riverboat dance. "I knew you had it in you, Charlotte," she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. But more than the sights and the experiences, what changed me most was the realization that I could do this. I could step out into the world on my own and find joy. I'd spent so many years thinking I needed someone by my side to feel whole, but this trip showed me that I was enough, just as I was. I felt Tom with me every step of the way, in the beauty of the city, in the laughter of my new friends, in the courage I found within myself. I'd whisper to him at night, "I wish you could see this, love." And I'd imagine him smiling down at me, proud of the woman I was becoming. When I returned to Asheville after that 5-day trip, I felt like a different person. I hung the painting of the fountain in my living room, right above the fireplace, and every time I looked at it, I'd remember the woman I was in Savannah, the woman who danced on a riverboat, who laughed with new friends, who walked through a new city with her head held high. That trip was the first of many. Over the next few years, I traveled to Charleston, to the Outer Banks, even to New Orleans for Mardi Gras at 75. Each journey taught me something new about myself, about the world, about the beauty of living fully, no matter my age. Now, at 80, I keep a little suitcase in my closet here in St. Augustine, ready for the next adventure. I may not move as fast as I used to, but my heart is still full of wanderlust. That first solo trip at 71 taught me that it's never too late to explore, to grow, to find joy in the unknown. We're never too old to chase a dream, to step out of our comfort zone, to see the world with fresh eyes. That's my story for today, dear friends. If you've ever taken a solo trip, or if there's a place you've always wanted to go, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. We've got more stories coming today. Join me at 10 a.m. EST for the next one, about the book club that gave me friends at 69. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Golden Echoes Hub. I'll see you soon.